Welcome back to A People's Guide to Publishing. I'm Joe Beal, the founder and CEO of Microcosm Publishing and Distribution. I'm also the author of A People's Guide to Publishing, which distills what I've learned from selling millions of books over the past 25 years.
I'm Ellie Blue. I'm the editorial and marketing director here at Microcosm. We are an independent mid-list publisher based in Portland, Oregon, and Cleveland, Ohio. We have over 700 books, over 25 employees, and we make about 40 new books every year. And we distribute thousands of titles from other publishers.
We started this podcast so that we can share what we've learned with newer publishers so that you can learn from our mistakes.
Or maybe you just want to understand the publishing industry.
This week, we answer every reader's question, which is, how do I get a job in publishing?
Whew. Welcome to the field, maybe, if we don't scare you off.
Yeah, we'll try our best.
So I think one thing that a lot of people think is that to get a job in publishing, the best way to do that is to major in publishing in college. You're going to get a degree in publishing. What do you think about that, Joe?
I think most people think they get an English degree.
Oh, well, there's more and more publishing degrees being offered.
That's true. And I think that is something born of like our parents' white collar idea about, aspirational boomerism and all that. Mm-hmm. And there's a value to like understanding your craft and getting a firm theoretical grasp on how the nuts and bolts work. But I don't think that would actually be very good for landing a job. But as Ellie tells me, actually most people that graduate with specific degrees don't always have very great job placement in the field. So
true.
This
Case in point.
Might be, my understanding of this may be lesser than it could be.
Well, that is one potential route, but it's probably one of the more expensive and time-consuming routes and not the surest bet to get a job in publishing.
Excellent point, Ellie.
So, as somebody who hires a lot of people into publishing, I feel like the most important thing to know is why do you want to go into publishing? And also, if you want to go into publishing to be anything other than an editor, there are probably more options for you.
Yeah, and the thing that I run into all the time with people in all kinds of fields is, and it's kind of similar to I wrote this book when I was in junior high and it's my lifelong dream to get it published. You may not actually want to see that dream through when you find out what's involved, and then you reread this book and, So you might find that you've had your eye on a career, on what you believe doing a specific job in publishing would be like, and you find that you're actually kind of miserable doing that job. So I would start by talking to people that work in the field, hearing their experience, what their actual day-to-day job duties are like, what they like about it, what they don't like about it, what they were surprised by, what's different, what expectations they had and what were met. And, I guess it's figuring out if that's actually what you want.
I would also say, there's no specific job in publishing that doesn't exist in another field. Even editing, you can go be an editor at a marketing company or on a college campus or something like that. But yeah, marketing, sales, manufacturing, warehouse, accounts receivable, human resources, all of these jobs exist in publishing. And if you don't already have experience, if you do already have experience in one of those are the obvious jobs to be looking for. And then you can bring your strength from another field over to a field that perhaps you're more passionate about, publishing. If you don't, then you can go and get that experience. If you're having trouble breaking into publishing, you can go get that experience at another company, and then you'll have that experience. This does not mean that if you go pursue, experience in accounts receivable and then get an accounts receivable job at a publishing house that you'll eventually be hired as an editor. It does not work that way.
In some companies and senses it does.
Really?
Yes, horrifyingly.
I take it back. Correct my misinformation.
But is that a route you want to go?
I mean, if you're working for a very small company, then there is more opportunity to move laterally between departments.
And at a bigger company too.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
But the trouble of that is when you get your wish to switch departments, basically you're like applying for other jobs as they become available, and you say I've been here X number of years. You have to actually know that you would be competent at and enjoy the department you want to move into, because obviously if you get the job through bullshittery or any reason, maybe you interview really well, then you still need to be able to do the job, or you're going to get fired, or you're going to be miserable, or both, So that's kind of the other part of it, is it's hard to know things like that until you've been in the hot seat.
The final way to get a job in publishing is the way both Joe and I got our jobs, which is to start publishing things and then figure out how to turn it into a job.
Well, and I would say, like, that's important to understand at all levels, is like what are the metrics, like what makes something work or not work, and I think sales experience is honestly really important in publishing, because that's really what makes you good at all levels. It makes you good for product development. It makes you good at feedback, because you understand how the customer is thinking about something. Like, you've heard enough feedback that you develop that on your own. But really, I think the 3 skill sets are pretty straightforward. It's like critical thinking, which is your ability to find the fastest path between 2 points and to, solve problems quickly and efficiently. Your willingness to work hard, which is essentially like you're able and game to, really just bust yourself to get the stuff done. And then, also like attention to detail is important, because you have to know what is relevant in what you're looking at, what to focus on, and really, from there, where you need to focus your effort and attention. But if you can do those 3 things, like, you're golden. You can pretty much do any job. That's way more important than any degree. And
it'll take you far outside of publishing, too, if you decide we're too pokey for you once you're a superstar.
Or if you want to make, like, real money elsewhere, yes.
Yeah.
But, more than that, I would say if you want to get a job, if you want to work in publishing, the real thing to do, everybody tells you to get a job in a bookstore, but that's really competitive. So I would say go get a job at a books warehouse that isn't Amazon, because they're understaffed. They need people that love books. It's a much better paying job, and more importantly, you'll learn a lot more there than you would anywhere else. You'd learn more there than you would in an internship. You'd see what's coming and going, and and what numbers, what's getting returned with like what fervor, and that's honestly much more informative than I would say most jobs, because that'll help you to understand what works and why.
Alternately, get a job at a book printer. We had dinner recently with our printer rep, and she said, send all the young people to East Peoria, Illinois to work for Versa Printers. It's an aging workforce, and they need new energy. And she made a strong case for it. It's a great career. She's moved multiple times within the company across departments.
Yeah.
And
like went from customer service to sales. And lots of the printers that we do and don't work with, I mean, this is what they've echoed for years, is that, much like bookstore owners, the average age just goes up every year and there isn't new blood coming in. So, being a press operator can be really informative too, seeing what comes through. It's like almost seeing, working at a printer isn't as educational in the same way, because just because they print a lot of something doesn't mean they're selling a lot of something,
But you can judge for yourself. You can practice those critical thinking skills.
But seeing what reprints, now that's the real tell. Thanks for joining us once again.
Please send your questions to podcast@microcosmpublishing.com so we can answer them on future episodes.
And please give us 5 stars on iTunes and everywhere else that podcasts are reviewed.
You can find us on the internet at microcosm.pub,
On Twitter at Microcosm.
on Facebook at Microcosm Publishing,
On Instagram at Microcosm_pub.
and here in Portland, Oregon on North Williams Avenue.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful week.